and welcome to another edition of Talking Sports. I am Marvelous M.R. Richards, your host, and I've got two very interesting icons as it relates to track and field in the studio with me here this afternoon. But before I introduce them to you, we'd like to let you know that Talking Sport is made possible by ACB Caribbean. ACB Caribbean, they are our platinum sponsor, and they have been in banking for over 64 years, of sponsoring Parish League cricket here in Antigua for over 44 years. And we say, and we recommend for all your financial and banking needs, we just simply ask you to check them out. Their staff are willing and able there to assist you, and they are situated at the corner of Thames and the St. Mary Street right here in St. John's. And also the headquarters is on High Street. Also Blue Mountain Water, known as the purest and the best water that you can find around, and the distributor, you can get that at Distributors Limited. They are situated on the American Road. Also Hutchison for pineal juices, and we simply say that if you want to sip and smile and taking some sort of fruity flavor, we recommend that Hutchison, the agents for pineal juices, and they are situated on the Old Palm Road. Also Seco Pharmacy, which is situated right here on High Street for all your pharmaceutical needs. Also plumbing and electrical, everything plumbing and electrical, all at one stop for good deals. And you can get that at, they are situated on the Potter's Main Road. Also brands for less, and the name says it all, where you can pick up quality branded products for less prices that you can get anywhere. And they cater for men, women, and children, and they are situated on High Street. If you want to be hooked up and to know exactly where the show is coming from, you can get us on Facebook at ACB Caribbean Parish League, also on YouTube at Antigua Parish League, and also Instagram at Antigua Parish League. Also, we're coming to you live on CTV Channel 8, and we are asking you to share and to like. Now, it is my distinguished pleasure to introduce our two guests here in the studio with us. On my immediate left is none other than Fred Sobey. I'm sure that's a name that's resonates here in Antigua as it relates to track and field. And he was once a national athlete representing Antigua and Barbuda. Also went on to coach and went on to the United States and did a lot of wonderful things there. And we also have with us here the president of the Antigua and Barbuda Athletics Association, Mr. Everton Cornelius, and he was also an athlete, a national athlete, and also a coach, and also now into administration. So welcome, guys. Welcome to Talking Sports.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, Sobi, let me start with you first. Let me officially welcome you to Antigua.
I play.
Yeah, it's always nice to see you. We were privileged enough to have you on Zoom when you were in the States.
Yeah.
But you're now live and direct with us here in the studio, and we really appreciate that. How is it going now that you're back in Antigua? Has anything changed from the time you left?
Yes, they're better with the sprinters. I see improvement. Unfortunately, that's one of the things I don't like, because we're improving in the 100, 200 meters, but nothing else. Mm-hmm. So that concerns me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Everton, we know when we talk to these our athletes and so who's done pretty well here and also overseas, and we have asked for assistance now. He's here now to work with some of the athletes as it relates to hurdling.
Well, yes, just not just hurdles alone, because his basic interest is well, as you know, Fred is a world-class 400-meter run in his day. Not like what's happening now. This guy's running 43 and all, but I'm saying Fred, and he's also renowned as a world record holder in the 500 meters indoors. And he was one dubbed as chairman of the board because he can handle the indoors very, very well. So, you know, and then he was also, and I know he's been quite modest about the whole thing, but, you know, he has been voted NCA coach of coach of the year?
Yeah.
Coach of the year, I think about two times. You know, so, and well recognized, he's a well recognized coach in the United States. Fred has indicated to me over the years that we talk because, you know, since I was in university, I guess I gave you a joke about us when he and Brett came down and tried to keep me up all night so they can beat me off the following day, but they did, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. But, you know, Fred always shown interest in what is going on here in Antigua, and has been for several years. He has been asking me if he'd like to come down and work with some of our middle distance. Can still use the 400 sprint and the hurdles, which is something that we haven't really, and an event which we hasn't really participated in for a number of years, if we ever really participated in. I know we did it in 1976 Olympics, but it was with Mam Warren who came out. I think he came out of London. Antigua parentage, and he was there. So me and Fred has been discussing this for quite some time, and he made sure that, well, the pandemic got in the way and stopped it when we tried to do it maybe 2 years ago. And now he said, well, listen, hey, the time is right, and he's going to come. He's not going to wait for me the time to come. He's coming. So he sets the date, and I will have to find a place to put it when he gets here. And, you know, so he came down, and I introduced him to the coaches, and he let them know exactly what he's here about, what it's all about. I did write to them before he came and asked them to provide him with whatever athletes who has an interest in the hurdles and stuff. So he has been working with a few of them over the last couple of weeks that he has been here. He came at the time when we were having the nationals, so that first week is like a bye, just like an introductory phase of it. So between last week and this week, now he's trying to see how much he can get done before he leaves.
Well, Fred, I also have to let you know that we have Steve Brown, someone you're very familiar with. He's on Zoom at the moment. Hi, Steve. Welcome to Talking Sports.
Hey, Steve.
Yes. Good to be here. Good to see you, Fred.
Well, I know today is the 4th of July, which is a celebration for the Americans. I'm happy that you were, able to join us, in spite of the fact that today is the 4th of July, where a lot of people spend a lot of time with their family and have cookouts and stuff like that. But I see you're not fully American yet, Americanized yet.
No, just that I will do anything for Fred. I mean,
that is what I want to hear. Yeah, fantastic.
So I guess you'll go back after this interview. We'll go back and finish up the barbecue.
Exactly.
Oh, sounds like something.
That is so good. That is so good. Now, Fred, Yasko. What are your thoughts on Yasko? I mean, I know there's a track now and it's not fully completed yet, but is it something that is a minimum standard that you would say?
Yes, I think it's a little bit more than minimum standard.
Okay,
I think it's very good because when I started, as you know, there was no track. We run in a circle in recreation grounds. I know there's a world-class track. There's some schools in the United States that don't have a track as good as Yasko.
Wow.
So it only goes to show. Only thing we need to do is to put up the discus cages and the shot put lines, get some grass on the infield, and those things are going to take time, and some seats. That's the only thing I think we need, because the track is fast. I watch those kids run. The track is real fast. So it's a first-class facility. And the people who put that in place should be commended.
Well, he's just right next to you. That's the man responsible. And if he tells you it's going to rain, you just get your raincoat. So we're expecting to see some seats and also those things that you mentioned there just for its completion. Now, I noticed on the walls there at Yasko, we saw 2 photos, one of Lester Bird and also one of Calvin Greenaway, 2 of Antigua's outstanding athletes. Are there any plans for more?
Well, the whole idea of the wall was to basically show the history, the history of track and field. I think that kind of a misstep. Lester Bird is in place. There's no problem there. But I think Calvin will be entering at a later date.
Right.
My observation, my whole understanding of it, I guess they probably put Calvin up because he has deceased and they're trying to do something early. Okay. And I use trying to do something early. But what I would have liked to see and what I had recommended to them is that we go back as far as we can go looking at all of our hero athletes. Right. And we're going to put them, so you know, in the 60s, let's say it was Lester Bird, it was Wesley Barrow, it was Henry Greer. You have these people, those were the people who represented at the West Indian Championship when it came to the West Indian Championship. Following that, you had Fred, and Fred is before Calvin. So you were seeing the progression coming all the way down the wall. Then it gets down to Calvin, it might get down to me, it get down to Heather. I think that girl was there before Heather, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just missing her name right now. Charles Ruperta. Ruperta was probably there before. I think Ruperta was there before Heather. I could be wrong, but I think she was there before Heather. And you know, showing the full progression. Dale Jones, everybody come all the way down. So you can see exactly the people who have really, when you look at the wall. Yeah, when you look at the wall and you start at Old Palm Road and you walk down, Lester Bird, this, and you can say 1960, this is like 70s, 80s, you know, you can write down. That is the intention behind the, putting these things on the wall. But I guess they draw halt to it because I don't know fully exactly, I don't get all the explanation as to the reason why they had to stop. But when I got in on the chat, I let them know that is not the intention of the wall, just to put people on at random.
Well, so when you said they, I mean...
I'm speaking of the management team. I'm a part of that management team for Yasco.
Okay.
And I gave them the information up front, but they went ahead and did basically, I guess somebody advised them to do it differently. Okay. It is something that we need to go back and look at and fix it, because it needs to be fixed properly.
Who's the artist?
I can't, it's not really art, I think it's pictures that we have.
Pictures,
it's pictures, because I have that picture of Lester Bird, I have that picture was sent to me. Okay. And one of Calvin, I have a picture, I have a copy of that too. Maybe I'm the one who sent them most of the pictures that they have, if you look in the shop. You know, so that's the whole intention of the wall, to show the history of our sports. And so the people can understand that who are the movers and shakers behind the sports over the years. And we did not just evolve over the last maybe 10 years or 15 years that some people are following us as track and field, but Antigua has been up front and making progress in sports since in the 60s. You know, you discuss Lester Bird, they speak of Lester Bird as when I went down to Trinidad years back. I'm standing with this gentleman who said to me he just said, you know, you're and this is way put it, you're Mandy in Antigua, man. He said, you're prime minister, man. He was a great jumper, you know, when we would pick in the, I think it was the West Indies team he was telling me, and you know, he was the first person that got his jacket and stuff. They had him earmarked. He was already in. Okay. You know, and that's to show the gravity and the height of our talent when it comes to track and field. That we're always excelling in track and field. You had Wesley Barrow, you had Henry Greer, you had Fred, right? And there were other people that comes after and behind that probably did not attain the same level in terms of international recognition, but was at our level here on the local scene was good enough to be recognized probably maybe around the Caribbean when it comes to Caribbean track and field.
Fantastic. You know, yeah. Now, Fred, when you left Antigua and you headed for the United States, Murray College, was it?
Murray State. Originally, I went to Mesa Community College in Arizona because my times weren't good enough to get into the major universities. But I made a commitment to myself that I'm going to beat everybody, no matter who they were or what they did. I'm going to beat them in practice. I'm going to beat them in the meets. And that propelled me to Murray State. Because my fastest time, for example, at the time was 50 seconds flat for 400 meters. The first meet I ran at Mesa Community College, I ran 48.4, I never forget it, 48.4. And then I went on to the Junior College National Championships where I was being recruited by people on the West Coast. But I had a friend, a very good friend, Ashman Samuels. He's from Jamaica. And he was going to Murray State. I told him, you're not leaving me. If you're going to Murray State, I'm going with you. and we stuck together. We still communicate. But that's where I got my start, how I ended up at Murray State because of Ashman. And when I got to Murray State, there was a guy there who was ranked number 2 in the world. He never beat me in a workout.
Okay.
He beat me in the races, but he wouldn't beat me in the workout. But that was my goal. I'm going to beat him every practice till I get better.
Well, what made you now decided that you needed some other Antiguans at Morris State with you up there? Or giving them the opportunity?
Well, I talked to my coach, Bill Connell. He's from England originally. I told him, we got some talented people in Antigua, but the times aren't fast. So you got to trust me when I say we got some good kids. And he trusted me and he believed in me. So he will go on my say-so and take Antiguans, which was good for us. So Granville, Buckley came. Of course, there's my man here. Steve Brown came. Little Joe Claxton.
Chatham.
Pat Francis. The person that I felt should have done better because he was world-class talent. Cuthbert Jacobs.
Okay.
He was world-class talent.
Okay.
He just needed to work a little harder. I mean, he said will say that he worked hard enough. But I felt that he could have been, whatever I accomplished, he could have accomplished.
Wow. But, there are some people who actually use, the scholarships or the opportunity at university. They use what they had. Maybe, he was with track and field, but do you know if he was really interested in track and field, or we had just looked at Cuthbert and just, for what he did here in the hundreds, in 100 and 200. Yeah, but perhaps he just used that opportunity just to get a good, to get a good education. Would you think that's that?
Well, that's possible. A lot of people do that because we can't, back then and even now, we can't afford a college education.
Right.
So track and field and other sports help to pay the bill. Because I have a bachelor's and a master's. I didn't pay for any of it. It was all free. Plus I got to see almost the entire USA. Didn't have to pay a penny. Track and field took me all over the country. My first NCAA championships was in Seattle, Washington. So I got to see that tall building thing there, the skyscraper or whatever. Not a skyscraper, what do you call that thing?
Empire was, I don't know what's building have in Seattle.
It's a building, but it's way up in the air. I got to see that. I saw it on TV, but I got to see that live.
Direct.
And I was able to become All-American at that meet. And in order to be All-American, you got to finish in the first 4 at the NCAA championships. And I was that several times. And then winning the national championships indoors. I never saw an indoor track until I went to the States. But then I was able to excel. Nobody could beat me. They called me chairman of the board.
Chairman of the board.
Chairman of the boards, because I was able to take that turn. And I think all of that came from, I don't know if you remember, at grammar school they had a sharp left turn. When you go down the straightaway by the building, you got to make a left. And that was a sharp left. And that helped me indoors.
Did they try to make you American? When I say that, for what you did, did they try to to run for the States?
For U.S. I ran for U.S. in a couple of meets, but it bothered me, so I.
Why bothered you?
because I'm from here.
I want to hear that.
I'm Antiguan, so I wanted to, but I ran for the U.S., I coached for the national team. I did all the things that an American would do.
Right.
Because it was offered to me. It was easy for me. I had a lot of success, both age group and older people. Ronaldo Nehemiah, the hurdler,
Right.
he ran for my club. I had a club with world-class guys. We went to pen relays. Talking about pen relays, I would like to see more Antiguan high schools get involved with a pen relay. Start raising money early so they can pay the fare. Every Jamaican high school go to pen relays. All the colleges are there, all the major colleges are there, so you can be seen. So I talked to the principal at Princess Margaret School. I said, that's your next goal, to be at the pen relays with the Jamaicans and beat them. We're not just going to go, we're going to beat them.
Now, between Steve and Everton, right, when you guys got to Morris State and saw the achievement of Fred, did that inspire you guys to, to follow in his footsteps, or to make sure that you didn't?
I can let Steve, if Steve want to come in at that, and then
Steve, Steve, can you come in with that?
Steve can come in there.
You got
I can come in. Yeah.
You know,
Pressure.
I had known Fred, of course, before he left Antigua. Fred had a club called Mercury. Remember that club, Fred?
Yeah.
He invited me to be part of Mercury. I looked up to him before he left Antigua. Getting to, and he was very instrumental in my arriving at Morris. You know, my how should I say, my time running at Murray or participating in Murray wasn't very long because of injury, and even now I still have a little problem with that. But he was an inspiration, not just in track, but academically. He would either call the room or come by the room every night. I remember during the first semester he was there at about 20 to 8 every night. And he'd say, junior athlete, are you going to the library or are you studying in the dorm? And if you said you're going to the library, I distinctly remember one night feeling this presence behind me. I'm in the library and I turned around and he's there looking over my shoulder with a big grin saying, I just want to make sure you're studying. And he didn't do that just for me, he did that for all of us. It's a good thing that he was there when I went to Monk, and a good thing that the other Antiguans were there, because, Murray was a different place, a different environment, and it helps that Fred was there to help me to manage my life.
For me, like when I got to Murray first, and as you understand, I think I told you some time ago how I was recruited to Murray. Is that one day I was already working, still in track and field, walking to work one morning. Trevor will pull up next to me and say, "Do you want to ride?" I said, "Yeah." So on our way coming down into the city, he said to me, "You still in track and field?" I said, "Yes." He said, "What have you done?" I said, "It's a long jump." He said, "How much?" I said, 25 feet. He said, "Man, right coach right away." So I went and I write Bill, and he sent me the scholarship. He didn't even write back to say, well, blah, blah, blah. He sent me a little letter, say, "I'm accepting you, and here's a scholarship. If you want it, sign it and send it back." That's it. Bottom line story, nothing else. That's it. If you want it, sign it, send it back, and you're good to go. Send me I-20 form, I was back in Murray. But when I got to Murray, then I got down to the stadium, and I look at the board. When I look up at the board, there was, I think long jump was above it, so you had Patmore Chatham, he was a long jump holder. You had Fred Sobey, and you had Cuthbert. Those were the three Antiguans who were on the board. Nobody was on the board. And I said to myself, I gotta get on that board. I'm gonna get on that board. And lo and behold, my first, I think it was my first, what we call is a fall meet. And it's a fall meet. We had it at SIU. First fall meet, I got down there, man. Bam! Second jump, 25 feet, 1.5. That record gone. So I got my name on the board. It did cement a coach, because I remember when the coach picked me up at the airport the night, which was Don Weber. And me and Don had this conversation coming down from Nashville. So I said to him, I'm a very good jumper. Blah, blah, blah. So he said to me, and I finished with the talking there. He said, Cornelius, don't tell me, just do it.
Yeah,
that's it. He said, don't tell me.
So he had a Nike.
Yeah. Yes. Don't tell me. Do it. Just do it. So when I went to the first meeting, I jumped 25 feet. From that day, hey, I'm everybody's boy. But couldn't be done Elvis Ford when he came on the scene, because he was a fierce competitor when it comes to the 400-meter runner. He was Coach Hart. And coach loved him for that. He was good. He was a pretty good runner. So it fed within itself, and the stories that I hear coming from Coach, and I felt that Fred and all of the other Antiguans who went there before me, and Trevor and Joe Tex and everybody else who followed behind, they believe in us. When the Antiguans come, we come to work. We don't come to play around. We have fierce competitors. We don't afraid anything, and we come and we train hard, we study. And the thing about it is that we all look out for one another. And it is important. See, what Steve is saying there is what I used to do for all the other athletes who came after me. Yes, I once exams start, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do, right? After track, we're going to go to the cafeteria. We're going to spend 1 hour inside the games room when we just to get our food settled and play a couple of games, and by 7 o'clock all of us going to be in our room studying. That is the rule of the day, and I make sure that happened all the time while I was with everybody. Whether you're from Antigua, Barbados, well, it was basic Antigua and Antiguans and Bajans, and we're always very close. So we had our little team. We call it the West Indian Connection. So we just look out for one another, and to make sure everybody is on par. Some people fall behind because sometimes they try to fool us off as to what the grade is and stuff. We can't get the transcript. But that's what we do, and I think that Coach developed the kind of confidence in us that he believed that if I say something to him, and they start with Fred. He said, bring Antiguans, and we came and they worked. Bert, it wasn't a disappointment.
And they were always eligible.
That guy wasn't a disappointment. Buckley wasn't a disappointment, and anybody who find from there wasn't a disappointment in terms of his recruiting. So at one day, Coach looked at me and he said, I was the only Antiguan at the time, and he said to me, I was sitting in his office talking with him, He said, Cornelius, I'm going to give you a scholarship, Get an Antiguan to come here with you, man. Just like that. He said, I'm going to give you a scholarship and get an Antiguan to come. So I brought up Alfred Brown.
Okay,
so Alfred came up, so I told the scholar, gave it to Alfred. Alfred came, and he wasn't a disappointment either. Track-wise, he was on par. He and Elvis was the 2 best quarter milers that we had at the point in time, that we could have guaranteed that, listen, those guys are going to do some damage when they get out there. So we never really missed, and for that reason, we had forged this relationship when it comes to track with Murray. That even when Coach has left Murray and the new coach came in, I went down to Murray for what we call it was a twilight meet. They normally have a twilight meet, and I took a team from Antigua down to Murray. The coach looked at me and said, "You're real? For real? You bring a team from all the way in Antigua back to Murray?" I said, yeah. But when I was leaving, I wanted a scholarship. When I was leaving, I wanted a scholarship. So I had a discussion with I think his name was a Ligon or something that his name was at the time. So I went and had a discussion with him. And I said, listen, man, I want to get a scholarship for my boy here, which was Darian Hill, Mitchell Hill's son. I said, I want to get a scholarship. He said, no problem, Cornelius. And he sent me the scholarship, and he got the scholarship. And, and it moves on, I get other athletes to go to Murray, and, once we say, listen, Murray, and we talk with them, they don't have a problem, because they never had a problem with the Antiguans. Never, And when it comes, I can say this to people. I remember one semester, when my freshman year, I get to Murray kind of a shell shock, and I'm watching more TV than studying. So Coach looked at me one day, and when I was leaving, Coach said, Cornelius, you're below average in your grades, And I said, Coach, what are you worrying about? Coach called me the second time. He said, Cornelius, you know what you have to do when you get back here to be on the track team? I said, Coach, what are you worrying about? I said, Coach, I'm all right. And when I got back, when I got back to school, right, I didn't even look back. Straight through. They said, so that is the kind of things that we do, that coach understand, that when we say, listen, you're all right, you're all right. When we say we're going to bring somebody, because he was quite worried about me. He was like you know, come on, you have to have a 2.0. You must have a 2.0 average to continue in track. You must. I said, Coach, what are you worrying about? I'm good. I'm good. I know what I have to do. I know what I was doing. So I was wasting more time watching TV instead of studying. I was studying. So I just put my head down and I just do what I had to do. Graduate. When I graduated, I graduated with 2 degrees. I graduated with an associate and a bachelor's. Same time. You know, so this is what we do as Antiguans, and we try to encourage everybody else who go off to university, any university, to make that impact. That people, that we know that you can trust us as Antiguans to come there and do good by what we say we can do, and at least complete our academic work with no problem.
Now, Fred, if you can recall, about how many Antiguans that you know of, that you've assisted, and how many Antiguans you can tell us that attended Morris State University, like scholarship. I mean,
My memory is not as good as it used to be,
okay.
but there was Berkeley.
If you remember that your memory doesn't want me to read.
There was Granville Buckley.
Granville, yes, and remember Granville.
Joe Tex,
Yeah.
Cuthbert Jacob, Pat Chatham, Pat Francis.
You can say Steve.
Steve Claxton.
Steve Claxton,
Steve
Brown.
Then there was Trevor Till.
Trevor. You were still there when Trevor came?
No.
Okay. But it was, he got the scholarship for us though.
Right.
Fred got the scholarship when Trevor and Chatham went up. He had and Joe Tech.
Right.
Fred is the one who got the scholarship. And sent them down here for us, for them to be there.
Did you have to call anybody names? You know, stick them up with a gun just to tell them you're gonna get some athletes from Antigua to come to.
No, coach was impressed. Coach, once I came and I did what I did.
And you break down that door.
Coach, any Antiguan that I said was good, Coach was willing to take a chance.
Very good. I'm happy for that. Now tell me something. We need to know if there's any athlete who in Antigua has a world record. Any Antiguan athlete that has a world record.
No, I'm the only one that I know of that has any world record. I have.
Tell us about it.
Currently, I have the 45-year-old Masters record. None of my other world records. The 500 might be still standing because they don't run that event anymore.
Okay.
So in order for them to break that, they would have to run the event.
Yeah.
So if there's no event, they don't have. But I have the 45-year-old Masters world record. You know, you got to be 45 to 49. That's 49.85, I think it is. 49.85 for 45-year-old.
That's what it.
That's pretty good for a 45-year-old.
That's right.
But that's the only world record that I know of. And I'm the only Antiguan who ever won the national championships in America. So then you have Ry Benjamin, but Ry never. Well, he ran for Antigua when he was here, I guess.
Right. Yes. He had represented that thing twice. Yes.
But he gave up. I can't say that I blame him because of the opportunities.
Okay.
You know, America do everything for you. Like when I went to represent them, they give you a bag full of stuff when you go in anywhere. Here we have to.
Right.
You're looking for
you're looking for sponsors.
Right. But they have it all set up So it's not difficult for Ryan to make up his mind. You know what? I'm going to run for the U.S. Plus, when you break a record, you get in sponsorship by somebody.
That's right. Yeah. All these
You
big
know,
companies. Yeah.
when I was running, they didn't have. I couldn't make any money. I say all the time. I tell my wife, I wish I was coming out to school now. I'd be set
Yeah.
because you make all this money now.
I'm telling you, yeah. No, we've pretty lately, this for Everton, that, there's a lot of people upset about a lot of things. There's no water, they complain the pension not getting paid and all these kind of things, right? But something happened recently to make us kind of rejoice at the Carifto, and we had some of our athletes that made us very proud. Right? What's your feeling towards this, and what are the plans?
Despite of what may be happening, and we can even go back as far as, let's look at what went down in Afghanistan just lately. They still have a cricket team, and they're still playing cricket.
Right, that's true.
So despite the difficulties that we may face as a country on a whole, I think when it comes to sports, that we always find a time and place where we can practice and keep on excelling in our various disciplines. And I think it is for that particular reason that we have managed to go down to the Carifto Games. That, we if you want to use the word, we are patriot in a sense when it comes to sports. We live it, we sleep it, we breathe it. That's our life. And we do sports, and so do the young people who comes into it that really has a knack for it, and see it's a way. It can be a way of life if you want it to be a way of life, and sports should be a way of life, whether it is football, basketball. It should be a way of life, as there's a little mantra we used to say, from cradle to the grave. There's always something that you can do in sports, whether it's walking, jogging, talking, you're exercising your muscles. So we say from cradle to your grave. So when we look at what we achieve in Jamaica, it's no real surprise to me. I've been honest with you, it's no real surprise. There are things that happen that really you say, wow, I didn't expect this one. And I'm saying, like young Fleming. I'm not going to say that he could not win a medal, but if you ask me, did you believe that he would have won the gold? I will say, no. I don't think he stands that chance, because I know the level of competition that we're up against, and we did not have the opportunity to compete regularly for the last 2 years, but he has been training. The little guy, he's sharp. He has a start like a bullet, which I didn't know he had that kind of a start. When the gun said power, but before they moved from already gone. Yeah, and you have to catch him. But when he ran the I want to say this, it's a semis really, but when he ran the semis, he slowed up about 5 meters from the finish line. He slowed up. He just barely made it to the finals, because he was one of the slower qualifiers. And so I asked him, I went over the acting the following day, and when he had to run the finals, and I said, tell me, or probably was the same, they went over by way, they were warming, but I said, tell me what's wrong, why? He said, when I was coming to the finish line, the nail in the shoe, it was pressing hard against my feet, so I had to slow up. I said, pardon, nobody run like that. Let it kill you when you pass the line.
Right.
But I give you a joke in the finals, and I have to say it's a joke, because I am filming the finals, right? And he's nowhere in the frame, then I hear people shouting, I turn the camera, the man is way down the jump. And I said, what? So I'm filming it, but I'm looking for him. And I people say, I hear the guy next to me say, Antigua. So I turn the camera, someone said, the man will go ahead of them. By the time they close and Fleming, race done. We don't care what's happening there.
See, I think we were looking from a Jamaica camera.
Well, listen, I am filming it, on my phone. But the thing about it is this: he starts so fast. By the time I pick up the pickup and get everybody in the frame, he was already out the frame.
Out the frame, okay.
He was out the frame. So I am now following the race, looking for him until somebody said Antigua or something. I turned the camera upfield because I realized I didn't see him inside there, and I turned the camera. The man is, my God, man! I said, what? But you see, as I said to people, that's the day. I can't say if maybe or but. If as I say, I can say, well, if there was 5 more meters, he probably wouldn't win. But there was no more 5 more meters. It's 100 meters, and that's it. That's it. So they didn't catch him. The guy from Jamaica could almost cry. Evie didn't cry.
Yeah.
Evie did, and I didn't cry.
He was a favorite, right?
Yeah, man.
And they expect to beat us.
Yeah, yes.
Every time, eh? Yeah.
Listen, from that race, I'm telling you, we got to the 200. You know who the camera is at, right? Fleming.
That's right.
They ain't taking no chance with him.
That's right.
Take no chance with him.
The coach at Kentucky is already asking about
The guy
Fleming.
Fleming, yeah.
He already asking about Fleming, but Heather told him he was too young. I want Heather's son. He is also very good.
Good, yeah, he's a good sprinter. Yeah, he's a good sprinter.
10:53. So I talked to Lonnie. Lonnie said he's interested. Lonnie Green is the head coach at University of Kentucky.
Okay.
Now these young Antiguans that are underage, I won't mind being responsible for them. Like at Thanksgiving, they can't get to go home like the kids from the US. They could come to my house, and I would take care and look after them. So I'm going to work with Lonnie to try to get
Fleming.
the
The one for Ajani Daly.
to Kentucky. 'Cause that way I can help with him and keep him.
Right, yeah.
So how can we build on that, Everton?
You see, the whole thing of, when you say bill and what, the scholarship aspect of it, or
What we have.
it's just regular. Listen, I have me personally, I have a particular problem with how we look at sports and how we treat sports. Because, and when I speak about sports, I speak in a general sense. I can really isolate and say track and field, but I'm going to speak in a general sense because it match all the sports. I'm saying that I'll tell people, I'll say it to my grave, and until we organize sports properly within the school system, it is the breeding ground of our athletes. Don't fool yourself, okay? You can't fix it outside of school. You fix it in school. When you fix it in school, and this is what I put to people, I say, listen, you go to school, you have a coach. When the coach says jump, you say how high. When the coach says run, you say how fast. When the coach says listen, you have to do X or Y to be on my team, you sit down and you do your schoolwork to be on his team. Okay? What you bring to society when you come to society, if you decide to be in sports, is not the same thing? And if I come out of that environment, coming into, and as we call community sports now, I'm not going to meet anything different because we know nothing different. And that's what people don't understand. You're not going to know anything different. When the coach talk, you listen. When the coach will jump, you listen. So you don't have, when I tell you something, you're going to form your own team cross the road. Because you go cross the road, it's the same thing you meet, you know. And you're going to do the same thing you're going to meet, you know. So then you just conform yourself to the situation as it is, and you choose the type of athlete. One of our problem is the indiscipline that we have within our sporting structure. Too much in this. Everybody wants to do what they want to do and how they want to do it and when they want to do it. It doesn't work it does not work like that for you to produce world-class athletes. If you're going to be world-class, you have to be disciplined. So, and there's a next step to it. Once you get to a certain, you see, and you ask the question, how can we get there? How can we get there? It starts with we understanding exactly what we're asking of an athlete. Because a lot of people don't even know what they're asking of you. Everybody wants to go and win a gold medal, want to go and win a soccer game, want to win a soccer game, everybody wants to make the World Cup. Right?
Don't know.
What it costs for you to make the World Cup.
Right.
What it means, what kind of investment you have to make for you to make the World Cup.
Right.
What type of league you have in Antigua. You're asking the same young men to play against the people who making millions.
That's right.
They make millions, okay? That's their job. I can't say they don't work, that's their job.
That's right.
And somebody recruit you and pay you million, 100 million, this million, that million, to come and play soccer for them. And then you ask your young men who have to go and work from 7 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, go home, take a shower, some of them don't even get to do that, go straight to the play field, practice, and go and play against these people and ask them to qualify for the World Cup. And you ask, oh, so why all sportsmen can't do this and can't? I say it's because you're living in a world of fantasy. The truth is, if you want progress, you have to make serious investment. I have this argument with them when it comes to track and field. I say, listen, you have let's look at Joella and CJ at this point in time. The question that need to be asked, and people say, why don't the social, and before they just say, why the social no right? I say, I don't need to write anything. They don't represent me, they represent all of us.
That's right.
So let us ask what they need to get them to the next level. And I think the onus is basically on the government to say, listen,
That's right.
this is what we policy-wise, if it's policy-driven, if it is policy-driven, you do not have a problem, okay? Because it's policy-driven. So I will know what I'm writing for or writing to. So I can write and make reference to policy so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. This is the government, blah, 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 blah. These are the athletes that we're recommending to fit into that particular policy or whatever you have there. And they know this is what will be coming to them. Because we have to, when you put your policy in place, it has certain guidelines that you have to fight and certain criteria you have to meet. And these are just simple, straightforward things. But people expect CJ Joel to go out, somebody giving them $1,000 a month that can't even pay their rent. But you need to understand at the same time what they have just given up. Because CJ graduated from university, Joel is graduating from university, and you ask them to put their whole life on hold, That's what you ask them to do. Put your livelihood on hold. Whatever your profession is, put it on hold, and you're gonna compete for us for the next 8 years, if possible, maybe 12, depends on your age and how well you're doing. And nobody's telling them how they're going to foot the bill.
That's right.
How the bill is going to be foot. And I am trying to get this into people's head, but they just don't. Well, I don't think they don't understand. I don't think they want to understand. Because in a like you have $100,000. I said, one friend of mine is $100,000 CJ would need yearly to prepare him going forward. ECM talking. He said, I didn't know that. When I talked to him the second time, he started giving me all kind of story. Because he had political links, so he gave me all kind of story. Oh, what about if basketball won this? What about if this won that? I said, there's level to every sport. There's a level to every sport. There's a level to your investment. If you're investing at school level, you get $10,000. If I'm investing at a junior level, you might get 20. If I'm investing at Olympic world standard, you might get 100,000. Because we understand what it takes.
That's right.
And then these are things that we have to look at. These are some of the reasons why we don't have a Rai Benjamin. That's the reason why Fred didn't stay with us. These are all the reasons.
Right.
And people don't want to recognize these things. They want to say, point a finger at somebody. Oh, you didn't do this or you didn't do that. We look at Miguel Francis. We look at Miguel. Miguel went to one to England. Can you blame him? One of my friends said to me, karma is I say, I can't say that. They say, they can say to both of us. But the thing about it is that you produce these athletes, and when they get to a certain level, there's certain expectations of us as a nation in terms of support. And if we don't give them that support, and they have dual nationality, the other nationality is going to come up, they can offer them something better. He has a dual nationality, he can run for England. He's going to go up there. Ryan has dual nationality, he decided he's going to run for the States. It's to his benefit. And people have to understand these things. They're not going to do it association, this association. If you can foot the bill, if you can give him what he needs, then you can argue.
But my hope is that these guys, when they make it on the big scene, when they make that choice, right, is to kind of don't forget us. That's all we can beg of them, right? That remember us, anything at all that we can do, right? To like what Sophie did with most of the other athletes, to bring them along with him, So at least, But do you think there's a need for an institute? When I say a sporting institute right here in Antigua, that goes for all athletes, whether it's track and field, whether it's football, cricket, whatever it is. Do we need an institute where we can pull that talent, those special athletes out, to give them what you're talking about?
Well, we have to have a generalized program, but it splits between individual sports and team sports, because you're looking at two different things. It's two different things when you come into team sports.
I was including the nutrition
but it still comes out. But say you look at you still look at two different, because you're looking at what is going to cost you, and you will have to what are you trying to create in terms of a standard, and where do this kicks in? When you're looking at it, when you put a national team together, at what level do we start identifying our national players? And we're going to identify our top 25 players, just for argument's sake, and they're going to be getting that type of treatment.
Right.
Okay. We're going to have our top athletes, whether if we think that they're at Olympic level, world class level, and we're going to make that kind of investment in them. And it comes, so that's the individual and the team as it goes along. If you have a very good swimmer, and listen, he needs to be overseas maybe working with his coach or be elsewhere, we have to foot that bill to make sure that he can attain the level that we want him to or maintain and improve. So it is a whole broad-based approach, and that's why I say policy. It must be policy from the country point of view. It must be policy driven. It can't be of athletics going right to the government going to give athletics something.
Well,
And
see,
they
the Minister of Sports
You know.
has to get involved with inter-school sports. That thing keep Jamaica ahead of everybody else. Because when it comes to champs, the championships of inter-school
Boys
in
and girls
Jamaica,
champ,
that is serious business. I mean, they fight over that stuff.
Oh yeah, sponsors too.
But this is the point I'm making. I'm trying to say we all come. What we bring out of school is what we're going to bring into society. Believe you me. Boys and girls champs in Jamaica. The alumni or the graduates, if you want to call it, from all the various schools, they pour back into their schools
right.
to make sure their school becomes number one.
That's right.
Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that here? You know why it doesn't happen? Because we don't have no proper sporting structure.
There's no policy.
There's no policy. It's not, as I say,
Minister of Sports
it's not policy driven.
It's not policy driven.
You see, if it's policy driven that we have sports in a way that when I finish school, listen, nobody about academy school, no, me in a position for buy this and do this and do that and go to a coach academy school, and then I'm sure somebody is showing up with me, and we say, listen, let us get together and hire a coach for academy school, man. And the alumni is doing that.
Yeah, taking care of that.
You're taking care of those, and the strain is not on the school. In the same breath, I am saying that if the government look at sports and look at sports objectively within the school system, there must be something in the budget. For if we have 150 schools, do it by 10. And give all them $10,000. That's all we can give you. It's 150 schools all year, $10,000, and that is for sports. Whether you want to buy uniform, buy rim, fix something, but it is for sports. If you want to use and pay a coach to coach a team, that's up to you. Just tell us how we just account for the money at the end of the day, because you must account for it. And I'm saying that we can do so many different things, but we lay back and we want somebody else to do it for us. I must go out and coach the athlete and make the athlete great, and then somebody tell you, you're asking for too much money. We're going to give all the money to one man.
You have any thoughts on this, Steve? On our discussion?
Yeah. I wanted to emphasize something that both Everton and Fred have said. The approach has to start in the schools. We can't have inter-school sport just 2 days every year. It has to be an ongoing thing. There needs to be competition every weekend or every couple of weekends between all of the schools. The competition is going to breed better performances, and we've long past the time when somebody shows up on competition day and participates and might even win a race, and that's it for them. You don't see them again, you don't hear from them, there's no follow-up. We need to have teams together, starting in the school and also nationally, having teams for those people and clubs for those people who are no longer in school who want to continue. But we need some semblance of discipline about how we go about all of this.
Right. Now, Fred, you specialize or you have a degree in physical education, right? How important is that? Now, because I believe that we need to have, a strong physical education program within the schools too.
Yes.
And that's lacking. That is lacking. So what you think is necessary,
to get physical education in the school?
Well, we do have physical education in schools, right? But I don't think it's to the level that we need to have it in order to bring out our athletes.
Well, whoever you design, you make coach whoever you decide to have as coach, they must be certified in whatever sport they're coaching.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they have to have competition, like Steve was saying. They have to have competition. Like, I still coach high school track. And every weekend, I have a track meet. Every weekend, from the time the season starts till the season ends with the state meet.
Right.
That's the same way here. The season should end with the inter-school championship.
Yep.
In the meantime, you should have
Zonal too?
Yeah.
Zonal
Yeah.
sports too, and
grammar school against
so you
Princess Margaret School,
that brings you to
and Princess Margaret School against Clare Hall School, the different schools, because you got so many secondary schools now.
Right.
You don't have private schools anymore, do you?
We do.
Yeah.
There's just a few private schools, yeah.
Okay. Now, do they participate in
Yes, they
sports?
do. They do. Yeah.
Okay. So all the schools are participating. So you can get some going on every weekend. That way the kids won't be without competition. They have competition all the time.
Right.
Because you can't wait until right before Karifka to compete.
Right.
Or you wouldn't get the desired sharpness that you need in order to have that. Then the other thing, we need to know where we're sending people. When it's all well and good to get a scholarship,
Scholarship, that's true.
but we need to know where we're sending them.
Okay.
My choice of programs is SEC, because it's solid competition, and if you do well in the SEC, you can do well in the World Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's where I want people to go. SEC, and I'm willing to put my effort into what my mouth is saying. I'm willing to do what I can to help. That's why from now on, I'm coming here every year to see, especially with these hurdling, because nothing is being done on hurdling. And it's one way to get our athletes recognized quickly, if somebody can teach them hurdling, because other than Jamaica, there's no reason why Jamaica got to be up front in everything.
Yeah.
And that's because of their structure, what they have built over the years in their championships, school meets, and what have you. No, they have another girl running 10-9, some 15-year-old running 10-9.
Yeah.
I just saw on TV.
I noticed they'd done something, or I think there was somebody who was asking Bolt, what he eats and something. He said something about the yam, man, the white yam. I mean, the yam is a staple for Jamaicans, right? And they say there's something within that helps.
Listen,
But
I don't know too much.
That's just talking.
I eat everything.
That's just talking.
I eat everything that I could.
Listen, nothing goes without talent, right? You either have the God gift and the hard work.
And
Listen,
must be prepared to work.
let me tell you something. Let's look at sports realistically. People like Bolt only come along once every decade. No, but I'll tell you something. We're seeing some things happening nowadays that we didn't see happen before. Quite a bit of people is running down there 9 low, 9 5, 9 6, and all that kind of different stuff. Those kind of a 9. But if we look at the history of sports, let's start with Bob Beeman, and probably even before him, but we can talk about Bob Beeman. How long it takes before anybody can pass Bob Beeman, brother? It takes decades for that to happen. But once people start doing that consistently, people jump there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're coming into a different time zone, right? So the technology is more. It's just like, and I tell people this, understand what's going on here. It's like a cell phone. The kids them now, it's 5 years old, they can do more on the cell phone than me and you. Right? Okay? They can do more on the cell phone. They can tell us how to operate the cell phone. And they're 5 years old. So that's the kind of transition you come to in sports too. You find the kids, if they are, and I want to use a mechanically inclined, because some kids, the motor skills is nowhere. They can't even walk straight, much less even run. Okay, but don't fool yourself, The problem is with those type of children is the fact that they're not exposed to sports. They probably live on their cell phone in that sense. It's not, they're not talented, but if you get them out there and it brings, listen, no matter how you shift it, it always going to bring back to the point. If you don't have it in the school and it's not properly structured in the school, you'll never get what you want out of the athletes. You'll never get it, right? You're going to have, let's just say we had Baka, we had one. We have CJ, we have one. We have Joella, we have one. The lone female, the lone male. And that's what you're going to get. But if you want to produce athletes how Jamaica produce them, we're not lacking talent, We're not lacking talent. Don't fool yourself. Because for all the years I'm in sports, and I compete against people and take athletes to compete, I tell people, we're not lacking talent. I went down to Morocco with two athletes, and when the dust settled, there was America, 2 athletes in the finals. I think Trinidad had 2. That's 4. If I miss, I remember Brianna from the US. I remember Brianna she was in the finals. She can never forget. Brianna was in the finals. I remember even an American was there. But at the end of the day, we were among the top 8 people, the top 8 countries that had athletes in the finals, and we came 4. I'm talking about world youth, and we came 4. Okay, so you don't lack talent. It's not lack of talent. The thing about it, we are not producing a multitude, if you want, of athletes, and we can produce them because we have them. Okay, but what happened? Our high jumper. Let's come back to school sports now. Our high jumper is playing basketball. Okay, our number 1 sprinter is playing football. There's nothing problem with all that, But if you have the school sports organized in such a way that it becomes competitive among the school. Not just why you're into school sports, but when you combine football, basketball, cricket, everything on track and field, and you have to accumulate points, and then probably maybe the last event of the day is going to be track and field to determine who will be the overall winner. You'll see a high jumper, that's playing basketball, come high jump for his school, and then he's going to realize, something. It's a better future in track and field than me wasting time playing basketball. The guy who's playing the football and maybe he's a very good sprinter but enjoy playing football because of his friends playing football, he might say, listen, man, become a big bang of all them, man. It's better stay in track and field. And then you have a wide variety, you have a bigger contingent of athletes coming out of track and field and even the other sports, because then you play football, maybe you run in track. You're not going to run in track, but you're a very good football player or a very good cricketer.
Right. So that brings me back to when you say everything has to start in school, which we all agree on, right?
Yep.
Talent identification.
But it brings me back to the same point. No matter where you go.
So the physical education teachers within the school will determine based on what they see, or the test that they put the athletes or the students through, right? To say, well, look, hey, it's better you. I'm going to recommend you to athletics.
Yes. Yes.
Or I see how you can jump maybe something. Maybe you should try jumping or perhaps basketball, but so you can
straddle between the two if you want to play, and eventually you might decide I choose one or the other.
So the point that you were making a while ago, right? You would have had that information ready.
Yes.
Before you had the sprinting out playing football, when you could be on the track.
But you see, the thing about what we have to understand is that we follow our friends, and we love team sports. Believe you, all of us love team sports.
What about the seasonal stuff? When I say everything is more or less seasonal,
what's that?
There's a cricket season. Football is not a year-round.
In America, you have
so when you not play
American football from August to December.
December, I think about
so you have basketball from when football finished until March. From March until school end, you have track and field. So they have time to play each sport.
Right? Okay.
And what you excel at, then you do.
But I tell you more, when I was in university, there were a few of the guys who played football who are good track athletes and came out on track with us. And maybe one of them give up football fully, give it up, and decided he's going to go on track.
Well,
Right.
well, I notice now that guys now who form track now go to play football.
Why we say this? And they're going to tell you how fast this man can run 100, how you can fast you run a 40 meter and all these kind of different things. It has its place, everything has its place in track and field. You know. But I'm saying everybody's not going to be gifted in track and field. Don't fool yourself. There's guys who run in track, they're just not going to make it in track. So you might as well go and play football. Right? There's guys who are playing football, they're not going to make it in football. He's better go and run track or play cricket. But you see, we don't have anybody to guide us. And along with that, let's come back to what we said about a clear policy. You see, if we put a structure, put instructions in place that we know, you're going to get to see all the talent. People like me, you and Fred and everybody who out there who's involved in football, who's involved in cricket, who's involved in that, you'll be saying, what I'm saying to the athlete, you're going to say to them, no, you leave football alone, man. I see you high jump, you know. Listen, boy, you stick with that. And it all was speaking in the same voice because we see the talent, we understand the talent. And our main objective is to get the athlete to the place where he can perform the best.
That's right.
Right? And once he can get that direction, we ain't got no problem. We ain't got no problem. We're not going to say we're not going to say you're going to be the world beater, but I'm saying you probably will excel much more in this event than playing with football or basketball.
Steve. Your mic is off. I don't know if you're hearing me, but your mic is off.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just to point out that Steve Claxton is listening in.
Sorry?
He says Steve Claxton is listening.
Okay. Well, we welcome Steve and on, man. I'll never forget that name, you know, and that person.
Steve Claxton.
Like so obvious to you guys, that's what Steve wants to be.
Talking about Joella, I expect her to be world class the next school year.
Okay.
There's one thing lacking in her right now. Her coach at Tennessee shortened her stride, and I've told her this, so she knows how I feel about it. He shortened her stride, so now she's making too many strides in 100 meters. She's making too many strides, you know.
Yeah, nothing wrong. Yeah.
Okay. All right. She's making too many strides in 100 meters. Before, people used to think if you make short, quick strides, you run fast. But both prove that that's not true.
That's right.
The long stride.
That's right.
But they shortened her stride. So I told her, because she used to get hurt, I told her, you got to go back to your normal stride. So once she gets back to her normal stride, she's going to be running 1090, 1080 real soon.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, but how many of these athletes, you know, like that you communicate with, and you know, you give them some pointers now and then, you know?
Well, I never communicated with Joella until she came here.
Okay.
I watch her run because she's from Antigua.
Right.
And if I don't see them first, if my wife see them and I say Antigua, she coming to get me. She coming to get me. She want to come live here half of the time, half a year, and the other half in America.
I'm happy with that because we get the opportunity to see you more, you know? Right. And for you to work with some of our athletes. Now, how many years have you now been like coaching? How many years? And how many?
I started coaching 1976.
Wow.
And I've been coaching ever since.
Right.
I've coached collegiately, and then I've coached high school, age group. I've had success at every level.
Right, right. I remember well, my good friend, Ronan Matthew,
You're right.
who was at, in Vegas.
Cheyenne High School.
That's right, in high school, yes.
We were at Western first. We were at Western High School. And then he got a job at Cheyenne.
Yeah.
So I called him up and told him, man, I want a job.
Yeah, and he said, I want a championship. How much did you give him?
Two championships.
Yeah.
But Ronan was very helpful to me, and he was always there
No,
for me.
once you from Antigua, he's going to
He's gonna take you.
Yeah, because, I mean, his license plate was, what was that? His license plate was Antigua. I think he had Antigua on his license plate in Vegas.
In
you know,
Vegas.
so, yeah. But how many more years you think you're gonna
As long as I'm healthy enough. I've had 2 open heart surgeries, but it doesn't slow me up. And I have a wife who takes care of me.
Right.
I don't know what medicine I take. I take a bunch of medicine.
Yeah.
I don't know which ones I take, but she knows.
She knows.
And she keep me. She keep
me ticking. Yeah.
ticking. So I think I'm trying to go until I'm at least 85.
Okay, you see, but because I wanted to ask this, you know, if you know, I mean, coaching is sometimes a little bit could be a little challenging, you know, to go and to demonstrate or something like that sort of that.
Well, demonstrate is difficult for me now.
Right, no, yeah.
But so I can explain to the kids, just like in this hurdling.
Right.
I explain to them what I want them to do, and I sit down and tell them what they're supposed to look like, and how many steps they're supposed to make between hurdles, so they are able to understand that. It's just to get them to do it, because it's hard to get a kid to make 3 strides
And then
between hurdles.
Yeah.
One,
You have
two,
to have
three,
you have to have a
one, two,
rhythm.
three, but they're picking it up, and they understand what I'm trying to do. And I have certain things that they do every day they come, and they're understanding what they're supposed to do.
You know, what are the numbers like? Because I know that is something that you have often talk about, that we always seem to just concentrate on the speed, you know, and we don't do middle distance, we don't, you know.
I'm disappointed because I don't get enough people out there wanting to run 800, 400. Everybody wants to run 100 and 200.
200.
Yeah, that's it. That's all they want to do.
Is it? Yeah, so go on.
I think it's because it's less work. Less work involved. You know, but they're supposed to work on 100 the same way. Because if you notice, if you watch a 100 race, you will see that at about 90 meters, they get tired. And they begin to slow down. And they go, like Kirk, the guy from the U.S. now that won the 100 meters trials. He's a former quarter miler.
Okay.
So he doesn't get tired at the end. So he pulls away from people at the end.
At the end.
Because they're not training enough. They're doing all kind of speed stuff, quickness stuff during the training. Like when I trained Heather, she was able to run her best times in the meets that she ran when I trained her.
Yeah.
But we didn't train like a 100-meter person. She trained with quarter miles.
Okay.
So she was able to finish better. The
Finish stronger,
200
yeah.
job, she was stronger. And that's the way I coach. Then when it comes to the end, that's when I do the quickness stuff, when I'm trying to peak. When you're training, you're supposed to have times that you want your people to run their best. And that's when you sharpen everything up, when you want them to run their best. Not during the year, because that way, you, like I said, you get tired.
Yeah, right. But indoors, I understand that she did pretty well, Heather Samuel. She did pretty
Yeah,
well
she
indoor.
did, she did pretty well.
What about Marion Jones? I mean, I think she had the better Marion Jones one time in indoors.
Marion Jones is from California,
Right.
and they don't normally run indoors much.
Okay.
They just use sheer talent and outdo people from the West Coast, because they don't have indoor tracks out there. So that could very well be the reason. But Heather was talented.
Right.
She just didn't have, her coaching situation wasn't the best when she was at Murray State.
Okay.
But she was able to perform well because she's Antiguan.
Right.
And she got something that you
She
can
got some
coach.
spunks, yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Steve. Steve, you're still with us, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes, I'm here. And,
Like if I was,
I want to say
if I was into time,
happy that-
go on. Sorry.
I'm happy the opportunity to interview Fred, and not enough Antiguans know, not enough athletes know that an Antiguan has already accomplished world records.
Right.
And so in their mind, they think they have to invent a wheel rather than picking up from where people like Fred have left off and continue. It's strong if letting the athletes know that people before them have done well, and that what they're doing is taking the baton and continuing the race, so to speak, as opposed to mentally believing that they're going to be the first. I believe that as a result of even this one visit by Fred, that we are going to begin to hear of Antiguans running the hurdle and doing well.
I have one guy that looks real good. I expect him to do well in these hurdles. I haven't seen him the past 4 or 5 days though. That's the only thing, I haven't seen him.
That's what we were talking about earlier, the discipline, eh?
Yeah, I don't know where he is, but I haven't seen him. I hope he's listening, so he can come out there and come back and hurdle.
Right. But we have the hurdle. We have good equipment up there.
Yeah, we have hurdles. I mean, they're not the best hurdles, but they can work.
Okay.
Because, for example, high schoolers only need 4 notches. That's what they have. 4-notch hurdles. They don't have the 5 notches hurdles. But that's for the world-class people. People over 18.
Okay.
18 and under need 4-notch hurdles.
Okay.
And the other hurdles,
Explain the 4-notch.
okay, when you adjust the hurdles,
Okay.
you have notches.
Okay.
The first notch is for the women's 400-meter hurdles. The second notch is for the women high hurdles. The third notch is for 400-meter hurdles for men. The fourth notch is for high school high hurdles for men. And then the fifth notch is for world-class hurdlers.
Okay. Now, Steve, now you were mentioning that a lot of Antiguans are not, well, I mean, some of these young people are not fully aware of who Fred Sobey is, I mean, he's very humble and doesn't really blow his own horn, per se, But I think that there ought to be something in track and field, whether it's the name, and this is my take on it, my personal thought on it, or renaming the Yasco Sports Complex. Still keep the name Yasco, because it was, I think it was because of the young athlete sports complex where you got this the ASCO from. But something ought to be out there in Fred's name. What are your thoughts on that? And a lot of people have been saying this, you know. Even when I was the director of sports, I had a lot of people writing in suggesting that we do this. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I've told you what my thoughts were before, and yes, why can it not be the Fred Sobey Yasko Center?
Right.
He has done, in my opinion, far more with track and field for Antigua and Barbuda than anyone else has done. I would dare say he has done far more for international sport than most people have done. It's when everything is taken into consideration, you know, in international sports. Of course, we have Viv Richards and we have the other guys who did well in cricket. But Fred Sobey is right up there with them. And we need to let the public know that. We're not taking anything away from the other people who have accomplished. We certainly can't take anything away from Viv Richards or, you know, or Andy Roberts and the others. But Fred Sobey is head and shoulder there with them. He has and continues to do great things to assist Antigua.
Well, you see, Steve, this is what this was I was alluding to, really, right? It's not necessarily what he has done on track and field, what he has done outside of that, of the many people who he has helped to get scholarship, make better lives for people. That has to,
right,
that has to be considered also.
He has helped people who are not athletes. You know, he has helped people who are not Antigua.
That's right.
As well.
And that has to be given some great consideration.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because I'm sure when you walk through Morris State University,
Yeah, I'm in the Hall of Fame.
in the halls there, huh? Tell me how you guys feel when you walk through there.
When you know, when you see a name there that you recognize, it makes you proud. And when you know the person personally, it takes on, you know, greater meaning. You know, I certainly don't believe I would be in the position I'm in now had Fred not participated in my going to Murray, and had Fred not been a good friend over the years, you know, continues to be, I think, continues to be interested in my well-being as I am in his. He continues to be interested in putting Antigua and Barbuda in the forefront. He has never been a selfish person. He doesn't know how to be selfish. He's out there doing the best for Antigua and Barbuda. He's out there being the best friend that anyone can have. You can't say anything too good about Fred. He's just a fantastic person, and you know, I just hope that he gets greater recognition, particularly in Antigua and Barbuda. the younger folks in sports, they know their contemporaries, and in their mind, their contemporaries are great. And to some extent, their contemporaries are good, but they need to know that it started a long time ago, and that one of the persons who was put on Antigua and Barbuda on the world map is Fred Sobey.
Well, to tell the truth, Steve, I'm even much more proud than you guys, you know. When I say this, because first of all, he's an Ovalian, right? He's from Ovals. That's where it all started, you know. And we can go on to tell you all the great people that have come from that little community.
Right.
All right. I mean, you if you have some sort of greatness, it's maybe because you have perhaps passed through there.
People say because my dad lived there when he was growing up.
Thank you very much. All right then. Okay.
I live on Hood Street.
Hood Street. No, Sandy Roberts Street. You know.
My dad.
But I know he was always running. I don't know.
Street. But
when guys had a little bicycle and stuff like that, Fred was always running, man. Fred was always running.
Oh yeah, and of course, being a Ovalian didn't hurt. As he said, that little track on the West Field, I mean, helped him in running indoors. You know, indoor tracks are very, and so you know, he was being prepared without knowing it. That, you know.
Yes. Yeah, but tell me something. You have seen our school meet as it is now, and when we competed against academy in football, in cricket, and in track and field. I believe that it was much better then than it is now. Would you agree with that?
I'm not sure what you mean by this. It's just a different time. I believe athletes were probably more disciplined. We need to somehow get the athletes more disciplined. We need the athletes to know, especially those who have ambitions of going off to school in the U.S., that, you know, the U.S. coaches will tell you 3 things they're looking for. And number 1, the grades, so they're looking for the academics. Number 2, they're looking for attitude. Is this person coachable? And then number 3, are you going to do well in your discipline? In Antigua, we tend to look at it in the reverse and think that if a person is a good runner or a good basketball player, that is all it takes. But the U.S. coaches have that as number 3. Yes, you expect it to do well, but they don't believe that you will do well in sports if you're not doing well academically and if you don't have good discipline.
Yeah, but so you play a bit of football.
Yeah.
What they call soccer, really?
Yeah. I still call it football.
Oh yeah.
America full of themselves. So they decide to be the only country in the world that call it soccer.
Sorry, right.
Yeah, but I played for grammar school. I remember scoring
Actually, they're not
the goal
wrong, huh?
that won the knockout.
Sorry, you were saying something, Steve?
Yeah, what I'm saying, the Americans are not incorrect in calling it soccer. Basically, you have 3 types of football. One is soccer football. The other one is gridiron football, or what's known as American football. And the third one is rugby football. So the rest of the world, they call rugby football rugby. They call soccer football football. And the older folks in the U.S. still refer to American football as the gridiron. So they're not totally wrong. Of course, they believe that the rest of the world should play soccer, and in my mind, it's a better definition. But then they should call their football gridiron.
Yeah, but they grid football, they gridiron football and rugby football. It's in the hands, isn't it? So how can it be football?
Well,
I do.
if you go back to the original,
But let me tell you,
all came up.
today, the 4th of July, 1776, when America first got its independence from England, right? They decided they were going to change everything, and that includes football. All right? Soccer.
Well, yeah, you say when they got their independence from England, it's more like when they took their independence from England.
That's right. That's right. What do you call it? Lorry became trucks. Motorway became highway. Hey, they changed everything. Even the spelling of some words. CENTRE, we knew, or center. A program with 2 M-E. PROGRAMME. But they take off one of the M. M and the E. They change everything. But anyhow, Steve, we want to thank you very much, man, for joining us on Zoom. I want to thank Everton Cornelius, the president of the Athletics Association, who was here earlier but had to leave. And of course, we want to thank our special guest, Fred Sobey, for joining us here live. We had the privilege of having you on Zoom some time back, but once we're in Antigua, we're going to have you here to let everybody know exactly who this man is and who's assisting us right now. So we want to simply say on behalf of our executive producer, who studied Ireland, along with our cameraman technician, Auden, and our platinum sponsor, ACB Caribbean, Simply Smarter Banking, Blue Mountain Water, Cecil Charles Group of Companies, Seco Pharmacy, along with Pine Hill Juices, Plumbing and Electrical, along with Brandfullis. We say goodbye for now. And please join us again next week, Monday, for another exciting episode of Talking Sports. We're saying bye for now.